Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Talking Thunder podcast. I am your host, BT, and let's get into another episode. So, for those who don't know, this is the best podcast to find Oklahoma City Thunder news and keep up with the latest information with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we are going to cover Game 4 of the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Memphis Grizzlies series, and then we're going to talk about their potential matchups for the next round. So let's begin with talking about Game 4. So going into Game 4, the Thunder was up in this series 3-0, meaning that they have 3 wins and the Memphis Grizzlies has 0 wins. In the NBA, how the playoffs work is that if you win 4 games out of a 7-game series, then you move on to the next round. So Game 4 was a very crucial game for the Grizzlies if they want to stay alive and to continue the fight to try to win this playoff series. So with that being said, what's typical in these elimination games, meaning that if you lose the game, you're out. And that was the case for the Grizzlies in this situation. The team who's facing elimination will typically play their best basketball. And that was very evident during this game. The Grizzlies, who honestly haven't been that competitive with the Oklahoma City Thunder in this series, were able to go point for point, toe to toe with the Oklahoma City Thunder in this game. Scottie Pippen Jr., who was a bench player for them, stepped up in the absence of Ja Morant and led their team in points and played phenomenally. He was orchestrating the offense, passing the ball, helping with good ball movement. He was scoring a ton on the Oklahoma City Thunder defense, which is a very, very, very impressive skill for anyone. And he was just showing why he deserves to be in the league. Before Scottie Pippen was on the Memphis Grizzlies, he was on the Los Angeles Lakers. And he was on their G League, and I think he actually played for the actual team for a little bit on the team a year ago. But he was ultimately let go and traded, and he's found a new home with the Memphis Grizzlies. And in this game, he was showing every bit of the skill that he possessed. He scored 30 points in this game and was leading the Grizzlies in their fourth quarter comeback. Going to the fourth quarter, in the middle of the fourth quarter, they were down by 12 points. But because of Scottie Pippen Jr. and his efforts, they were able to make a dent and come all the way back into the game, only down by a possession, making the game even more interesting and even more competitive than any other game in this series. There was some help by some of the supporting cast. Zach Edey played a really good game. He showed up defensively and was rebounding quite a bit as well. But he was able to... People are questioning whether he can be effective in the playoffs, especially as a very young player. And I think today he showed that he can definitely hang with even skilled teams like the Thunder with his height and his length, helping him anchor down the Memphis Grizzlies defense. Jaren Jackson Jr. was all right. If you're a Jaren Jackson Jr. fan, you probably were a little bit disappointed by his play today because it's kind of underwhelming for somebody who was at one point an MVP candidate. So I can understand why people may be upset with his performance. But despite that, the Grizzlies should be very, very happy with this game, even though they did not win. The score ended up being 117-115, but I think we showed flashes of how this team can still continue to find success, even if Ja Morant's not on the court, who is their best player that got hurt in the last game. And that's very impressive for any team to display. For the Oklahoma City Thunder in this game, we finally got the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander game. He had 38 points in this game, and that's his career playoff high. Shai has kind of struggled in this series, scoring-wise. In the regular season, he averaged about 32 points, and he hasn't scored 30 points in this series at all. And his efficiency has definitely been noticeably worse than what it is typically in the regular season. So to finally see him get a game that looks similar to what he produces in the regular season is very, very, very good for Thunder fans, and hopefully we can keep up this momentum going into the next series. So the Grizzlies weren't really a good matchup to see what the Oklahoma City Thunder is capable of, and if you're wondering how good this team is in terms of like their all-time standings or how they compare to other good teams in the league in the playoff setting, the next round is really going to be a true testament and test to see where the Oklahoma City Thunder fit within the hierarchy of the league currently. Like, I guess people want to see if the 68 games that they won is a, I guess, quote unquote fluke or fraudulent, and see how they compare to other good teams in the league. So going into the second round of the playoffs, we will either play the Los Angeles Clippers or the Denver Nuggets. Both of those teams are really, really good teams. Both of those teams won 50 games in the regular season. They're respectively the 4th and 5th best seed in the West, not the East. In the West, as Western Conference, the tougher conference, the Western Conference. And we will get a true test for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Nuggets are probably the favorite to win the series, but it's a 51-49 situation. The Clippers are the better team on paper. They have a more complete team, whereas the Nuggets have a glaring weakness in their defense, and then some of their offensive personnel is also questionable. So let me start by talking about the Nuggets if they were the matchup for the next round. The Oklahoma City Thunder will be favored in this series. Oklahoma City Thunder will be favored in any series that they play in for the rest of the playoffs, unless potentially Boston in the finals. So, but with that being said, just because you're the better team doesn't mean that you always win. And your likelihood of winning changes depending on the matchup that you may face in the playoffs. That's the most common expectation for anyone who watches the NBA. Just because your team is good does not mean they cannot lose. And even with a team with a historic season as the Oklahoma City Thunder has, we can still lose. So, with that being said, how would the Nuggets be able to make us lose is the question in this series. And in this series, the main factor is going to be how good Nikola Jokic plays. The Thunder are a good defensive team. A great defensive team, an all-time great defensive team. Arguably the best defensive team ever. That's how good. But just because you're a great defensive team doesn't mean that you won't struggle with certain matchups. Where the Thunder really shine with their defense is that their perimeter defenders are everywhere, and they make perimeter players struggle. Their interior defense is also great, but it's not the best of all time, but it's great. Nikola Jokic is a big. He's a center. He's a 7'1" player. And because of his size and his weight, the Oklahoma City Thunder don't really have a very good matchup for him in terms of a main defender. They're going to try putting iHeart on him because that's what they did during the regular season. And iHeart is a big body to fight against. You put your 7-footer against another 7-footer. So, you try to match up the size and weight as much as you can. That's their best option. That's going to be Jokic's main defender. And iHeart's too skinny for him. And then Chet is also too skinny for Nikola Jokic. Chet, another 7'1" guy. He's just a really, really skinny dude. And Jokic, he just got so much wide. He's just so wide that it's hard to contain his movements. And when he gets physical, he just knocks people out the way. So, depending on how well Nikola Jokic plays, it's going to be a tough series for the Oklahoma City Thunder because they won't be able to stop him from being the destructive force that he is when you have to play against him. He's a guy who's capable of averaging 30, 10, and 10 in a series. So with that much production, especially on offense, he's capable of getting everyone else on his team involved in the offense and making everybody even better or play better than what they're even capable of because he's that skilled of a player. With that being said, the Oklahoma City Thunder, also, we have our own guy who's like Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who the Nuggets are, because their defense is not good, is going to have a hard time trying to deal with Shai's offensive production. Not to mention the Oklahoma City Thunder defense, even though it may not be able to stop Jokic, everybody else on the team is going to have to deal with the best defense in the league and see what it's made of. And like I said from the beginning in this series, we're definitely going to be favored. Oklahoma City Thunder fans, we definitely got a shot. It's probably about 60-40. Probably about 60-40, but we should come out the victor. It's probably going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6-7 games. Now, going to the next series, the other team that we can play in the second round is the LA Clippers. And their two star players in Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, who are leading that team to the success they have had during this season. It's going to be an interesting matchup for us as well. As I said earlier, the Clippers are a very complete team. And if you look at their team roster, it's hard to see any weaknesses on their team. They have a great playmaker and James Harden, amazing scorer, and Kawhi Leonard, one of the best ever. They have a solid defensive big man and Zubac, and they have one of the best perimeter defenders in the league in Chris Dunn. The team is just very, very complete. Oh, and they have 3-point shooting from people like Bogdan and Norman Powell and Nicholas Batum. They're a complete team, and it's going to be difficult to find a weakness to attack them on. The Thunder is going to have to rely heavily on their defense to minimize the production from James Harden. That is their key to winning. Harden is the offensive engine that runs that team. And without him being capable of getting the other players involved in the offense, the Clippers' offense will stagnate. And they would have to solely rely on Kawhi Leonard to help them or play hero ball, so basically dominate the game and score like 39, 40 points a game in order to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. Could he do it? Maybe, but the likelihood of him doing that would probably be very low. That's a tough ask to ask for any player to dominate the game like that. So, but on the other hand, the Oklahoma City Thunder is going to have to deal with their defense. And Chris Dunn is one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball. He's up there with Alex Caruso. He's up there with Lou Dort. He's up there with Drew Holiday. He's amazing. He's a great point of attack defender as well. And Shai, who struggled in the series against the Grizzlies against Scottie Pippen Jr. Respectfully, Scottie Pippen Jr. is not Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn is a behemoth of a defender. And we will have to see how Shai handles being defended by somebody that's skilled, not to mention Kawhi Leonard helping off, not to mention Ben Simmons being there to help off, and not to mention Ivica Zubac being able to block shots and deter some of that rim protection away from the Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's going to be a tough matchup for the Thunder as well. Once again, this is probably another 60-40 series, but the Thunder with their defense should be able to carry this team through this tough 6 or 7 game series. Well, that will be all for today with the Talking Thunder podcast. Please look forward to new episodes dropping every Saturday. And please Follow us on our social media pages, both on Instagram and Twitter, X. And we look forward to talking to you guys pretty soon. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.